Ready to dive into the world of Dallas foreclosed homes, guys? Whether you are a seasoned investor or you're just now dipping your toes into the real estate market, you have come to the right place. Today, we're going to talk about foreclosure facts and anything Dallas distressed properties. Before we jump into that, I am Kira Ford. I'm your real estate cheerleader, where I help you take ownership of where you live and how you live, and I help you do that confidently by investing in yourself through real estate. Alrighty, let's start with the basics. So in Dallas, foreclosure homes typically are when someone is really behind on their mortgage payments, which means that the lender, which is the bank or which entity that lends you the money, is reclaiming the property. And typically they reclaim the property and then they also auction it or they sell it for a bargain. And that's why so many people like foreclosed properties. So where do we start, Kira? Well, research, my friend, research. So you can find foreclosure properties online. You can find them at auctions. I mean, I even get a list every single month of any distressed homes or any foreclosure properties that are going to be at auction. So once you have put your eye on a property that you're is in the foreclosure auction or list or online, now let's talk about the steps. What I want to do is I want to break down what it looks like to buy traditional, what it looks like to buy with foreclosure properties. So let's start from the very beginning. So typically when you're looking for a foreclosure property, you can find it online or I can send it to you via the list that I get every single month. For a traditional buy, I will typically set up a portal for you. I have off-market properties that I look for. I also have iFinder programs. There is a pool and lots of pools for me to really dive deep to find a house that you're looking to purchase, okay? So they're somewhat the same. For a foreclosure property, you typically are going to put earnest money down. So to start, if you didn't know anything, earnest money is 1% of the asking price or the offer price. And for easy math, if you were, making an offer on a property for $100,000, you would be paying $1,000 in earnest money. This money is refundable, okay? So you do that for a foreclosure property and you also do that for a traditional property. You also have an additional fee when it comes to a traditional property, but we're not gonna go deeper into that. If you do wanna know the full process of foreclosure or traditional sale, I would recommend that you book a strategy session so I can, one, know where you are, and then two, be able to help you to where you want to be. It's about a 15-minute conversation, and then I will tell you what's the best next steps. So if that interests you, make sure you schedule that session today. But let's jump back into it. So you have online auction, you have portals, lots of different pools that we can find your property. You have to pay earnest money, and an additional fee. When you get under contract, there's something that is called an inspection. You still get an inspection when it comes to a foreclosed property, okay? The only thing is with an inspection is that it is a bank. It is a bank or a government entity that you are buying your foreclosed property from. So don't get emotional. Don't think that they are gonna give you the warm and fuzzies, because they're not, which is good for you because that means that you can put in, lowball offers and not feel bad about it. You also don't have to do heartfelt notes because they don't really care about that. They really just care about, does it make sense and can you purchase the property and take it off their books? And another thing when it comes to a foreclosed property is you will not get a seller's disclosure. So in a traditional buy, a seller's disclosure is when a seller will give you basically a list of everything that has gone on with that house. When you're buying a foreclosed home, you won't get that because you were getting it from the bank. The bank doesn't know what's going on because the bank has never lived, or the government entity that has that or reclaimed that foreclosed property, they've never lived in the house. So they don't know what's going on, if the roof is new, if the plumbing is jacked. So that's why it's very important to get that inspection so you know what you're buying. Now, financing, this is a bit different because typically with foreclosed properties, cash is king. A lot of people who are buying foreclosed, they're buying full cash. So if you are looking to get into a foreclosed home and you are gonna be a homeowner there are some lenders who will provide you with an FHA loan or other renovation loans that will be able to help you purchase a foreclosed home, which you can definitely take a look at this video here. Me and Kelsey, one of my favorite lenders, my preferred lenders, that we talked about what it takes to actually buy a foreclosed home with a lender. So you do have to get a little creative, especially if you don't have cash, but this is a great opportunity for people who, have a little bit of a lower budget. Also, this is another way to kind of beat the low inventory that we do have in Dallas, Texas, when it comes to houses on the market. Next up, let's really talk about like the nitty-gritty negotiation. Kira, are they gonna be able to fix things? That's the biggest thing and the biggest risk that you will have when you decide to buy a foreclosed property, and that is there's typically no repairs. So it's sold as is, okay? So that's why it's very important that you do that inspection before you sign anything, because if you do the inspection and you say, hey, this house is way too much, I'm biting off more than I want to chew, if that makes sense. And so you can always back out, and if you do back out, you do get your earnest money returned. But if you do decide to move forward, you at least know, the things that you're gonna have to fix once you move into that house. And I always tell people it's the top 5 things that you really wanna look for, because these top 5 things can cost you a lot of money. If you move in and they're like, hey, you need to replace this, which is roof, which is anything foundation-wise, plumbing, piping, all those things, HVAC. HVAC is basically cooling and heating, the AC, and then electrical panels. I don't know about you, but have you ever had to rewire a home? It's not easy, nor is it cheap, guys. So electrical panel is another thing. I think that's all 5, right? Yeah, so roof, you have foundation, you have plumbing, you have HVAC, and then you have electric. So if any of these 5 things come back to, come back where the inspector says, hey, it looks like you're gonna have to fix one of these, that's when I would advise my clients to typically either back out or just be aware of what they're really signing up for. And don't get me wrong, guys, don't get me wrong. You can buy a foreclosed property that's in good condition. I will say most of them do need a little TLC. So, if you're not willing to put a little bit of elbow grease, which means you're not willing to fix some things and get in there and fine tune it to your liking, foreclosure route is not going to be your jam. I would say definitely go more towards the traditional route if you want to move into something that's more move-in ready. And the reason why it's not move-in ready is because it is a deal. It is someone who has fallen short on their mortgage payments and the lender has had to reclaim it. So just know that with something that's a deal, you also have to, pay the price for it being quote unquote a deal. Also, being that I just came back from a real estate conference, one of the biggest real estate conferences that we have at Keller Williams each year is called Family Reunion. And when Gary Keller, which is our fearless leader, he was up there giving predictions about 2024 and beyond. I will say I did look at this stat where it shows distressed properties being very, very low. So anyone who is waiting for the market to crash and the foreclosure homes to flood the market, let me tell you now, it might not happen, guys. And if it does, it's way down the road, because let me tell you this stat. Most people who have a mortgage or had a mortgage or have a home, more I should say, 40% of people who have a home have already paid off their home, which means it's free and clear. They don't pay a mortgage, they just pay property taxes every year. So the other 60% of people who do own a home that have a mortgage on it, a lot of them have lower interest rate, or they have a lot of equity in their house, which means that they could sell their property and not go into foreclosure. So anyone who is banking on foreclosures coming to the market, I would just tell you, don't buckle your seats, because I don't think you'll go far. And I trust that this video has brought you some value. Next week, we will talk about what it costs to actually live in Dallas, Texas, and is it affordable for you, and budgeting and all those fun things. So if this video has brought you value, I would love if you can comment below value. Also, once again, if you do want to know a little bit more, go a deeper dive into foreclosure homes or purchasing a house or selling a house, investing, all the real estate things, just know I am your real estate cheerleader. Schedule your strategy session so I can help you take ownership of where you live and how you live.
Oh my gosh, there she is. It's Kira Ford. Kira Ford. You don't know what? Never heard? Oh my gosh, she slays every